Hello, everyone. My name is Lori Fortune. I am a girl on the internet slash artist slash student slash just girl on the internet. And I have a video essay. And this is going to be one of many video essays that I will be doing on this page. But I'm so excited to present this. Okay. So, as we all know, Beehive, we all know Beyonce is on tour, and I wanted to share a thesis that I have been developing in my brain informally, but I now have the one PowerPoint slide that I need to really present this. And I'm going to share my screen. So consider this sort of like a lecture. It's going to be very podcasty, so if you don't want to sit and watch it, you can just leave it on. I'm going to be talking about if you read the title, you know what my thesis is. And my no, go back. Um, can you see my screen? Okay, great, perfect, dandy, lovely. Okay. Ooh. Um, sorry. Yeah, you found my email. So if you're on Beyonce's team and you want to email me, just shoot me a little email. So, Cowboy Carter is a journey of ascension through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I repeat, the Cowboy Carter album maps Beyonce's rise through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, if you are not into psychology or like neuroscience, um, just to tell you guys, basically, let's just go to the next image. Okay, this on the left here that we see that my mouse is hovering over. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a framework from a old white dude who basically it's the pyramid of needs that humans need in order to I wouldn't say it's a necessity, but it's a framework to gauge where someone is at in their human experience. So we have five layers. We have physiological, which is also called the survival needs, which is like food, water, air, those things. Safety, social self-esteem, and self-actualization. Now, if you have ever heard the term survival mode, you are likely at the bottom layer of this tier. You are only focused on um your basic human needs. Like, do you have shelter? Do you have food in your just your human function? That is survival mode. That is why when someone says you're in survival mode, you are operating at the bottom of this um pyramid, and it's not like a hierarchy. Well, it is quite literally a hierarchy thing, but it's just to show where you're at. And just to summarize self-actualization, it's someone who is not focused on survival but focused on like their purpose, their destiny, their mission. And I was introduced to this through I took a psychology course, but I was introduced to it through a coach that I worked with. And I remember listening to Cowboy Carter a couple weeks ago and thinking about this pyramid, and I realized, wait a minute, this album, okay, let's just get to the point. Okay. So if you have listened to Cowboy Carter, and I hope you have, and if you haven't, before you watch this video, go turn on your Spotify and listen to it all the way through, no skips, from American Requiem down to Amen, backwards, up and down. Okay? Listen to this album, comb through it, get the lyrics in your head because I'm not this is not for beginners, baby. This is for Cowboy Carter listeners. If you have listened to this album, this is the video essay for you. And I will be I should get my phone. One moment. Let me just I'll get my phone real quick. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna be referring to some song lyrics, but I already know like every song on this album, like the back of my hand. So yeah. Okay. So at the bottom of our pyramid, we have our safety, survival needs, physiological needs, which is like, food, water. And when you think about I'm gonna say from track 1 to 5, We are operating at the safety level. American Requiem, Blackbird, 16 Carriages, Protector, My Rose. Think about the themes of those songs. Like American Requiem has a lot of references to like slavery, the trials and tribulations that um Black people faced in the beginning of this country, which was basic like survival. Like it was about survival. Even the titles of the songs, Blackbirds, Carriages, Protector, Roses, like these things are found in nature. Carriages, you're traveling, and carriages are when you think of a carriage, or at least when I think of a carriage, I think of like traveling and not being at rest. You are making the trek from one place to another. And I've never been in a carriage, but I don't think they're that cozy. And Blackbird, birds symbolize freedom. Birds are also found in nature, obviously, but birds can also symbolize like death and well, blackbirds can symbolize death, and that is something that is a if your psych I can't talk today. If your physiological needs are not met, you are facing death. So think of the lyrics of um 16 carriages especially. I think that's the peak of this arc. 16 carriages working all day had to like I'm not gonna sing for y'all, but um it's very trials and tribulations, very much survival. And when you are concerned with survival and you're in a vulnerable place, so protection is also a big topic. Like you need protection and you pray for protection when you are in survival because you don't know when your next meal is going to come from. You don't know when safety will come. So those are your main concerns when you are in that survival mode, and that's what these first five songs, I would say American Requiem to My Rose, we're operating at the survival level of this. And I guess in Beyonce's case, like she had to work from a very young age and she was in the public light for as long as she could remember. And that could put anyone in survival mode because you are in a vulnerable position to be seen by so many people as you are growing, as you are in your adolescence, in your teenage years, into a young adult, into that's a vulnerable position to be in. So, hence the themes of survival. Now, what I like about Smoke Hour, and I obviously don't know if this was intentional, but the fact that like it's a radio meaning that like survival needs are taken care of. We are indoors, we are in a house, we are in somewhere with electricity, water, shelter, AC. I don't know what universe this takes place in, so, but we are in some type of shelter. So we have somewhere to stay because the radio is on. When I think about like if I you're in a shelter or in somewhere when there's a radio. Obviously, people play radios outside, but usually like on the porch or something. But I think the interlude is very, to me, I find it very brilliant because it's sort of like a sign of safety. It's a sign that you are somewhere safe and that you can sort of you have that time to sort of look through the channel a little bit. You're not concerned with like when your next meal is coming from. So you can like, you know, surf through the channels of the radio to find what you like. And this is where we ascend to safety needs because when you think of Texas Hold'em, Bodyguard, and Dolly P, I believe these three songs are operating at safety because this ain't Texas. Ain't no hold'em. Like, think about, sorry, I just had dinner. But when you think about the themes of Texas Hold'em and Bodyguard, you and let's read the definition here. Let's zoom in. Can't no, we can't zoom in. But I'm gonna just circle the safety needs. Safety is defined by if we feel okay in this exact moment, then we also want to feel safe, confident we can avoid pain, hunger, and other dangers for the immediate future. That's where when you're at that safety level, you're self-soothing, you're soothing with other people, you're soothing yourself by listening to music, to sort of soothe from the shock of being in survival, which is why you're going through the radio. And then the lyrics of Texas Hold'em, where it's like, and I'll be damned if it's sort of like the theme of Texas Hold'em is kind of like, it doesn't matter, let's just all dance. Like, this ain't Texas, ain't no Hold'em. So like put like stop thinking about the next month of rent or something. Put everything down and let's just dance. We have time to dance. We are safe now. We can at least dance. And if you know, there's a saying that birds sing when it's safe. So where it's like expression is safer. Expression is safer when you're out of survival, which is what I think of Texas Hold'em. And then when you think of Bodyguard, where it's like you think of like love and protection. And I think Bodyguard is sort of similar to Protector, where it's like because you don't necessarily need protecting because you're safer now, you still want someone by you to sort of have your back. And it's not necessarily for survival or your livelihood, but it's kind of like, oh, I have your back and I'm gonna look out for you. So what I like about these interludes in Cowboy Carter is that I see this as like going up an elevator. Like if the hierarchy of needs was like a building, we are like riding an elevator up through each level. And Dolly P just makes me think we are going up the elevator. We're going up another level, which the safety part was it was a short chapter, but um, yeah. So in the Dolly P interlude, we are sort of ascending up to the social aspect of your needs as a person, Beyonce's needs as a person. And I think beyond this Cowboy Carter album speaks to an experience. And as a Black woman, it speaks to my ascension to self-actualizing as a Black woman. And I'm going to talk about this later, but in Dolly P, we are now touching on the themes of love and belonging, which is why Jolene, and I'm going to say from Jolene to, I'm going to say from Jolene to Spaghetti, we are now in the social level. The social level is defined by if we feel safe, then our social needs for love and belonging come into play. We feel secure when we are part of a tribe we can trust and unworried about rejection or alienation. Now, like I said earlier, what makes Cowboy Carter so impactful and so brilliant to me is that it speaks uniquely to Black women's experiences, especially in America. A lot of the times, the need for love and belonging can be a make or break stage for a Black woman, period. It is a very make or break part of development. And if your social needs, if you experience enough breaking down in the social aspect, you can drop back down to safety and survival mode, or you can develop a strong sense of self-esteem and ascend and self-actualize. And when it comes to themes like friendship, romance, trust, school, work, anywhere where you're around people, I think I'm going to speak in my case, and I would say for other Black women that I've seen, is that the social part of our lives can be a very alienating process. Because if you think about how Black women are treated on a wide level in this country, Black women have this experience of constantly being othered, even in places where they should be accepted for who they are. Um, there's this um, there's this constant need to police, humble other Black women in society, especially American society. How this manifests, where it's like really romantic relationships. If you're a Black girl who grew up in a white town, you probably didn't have that experience of like getting asked to prom, or um if you're the only Black girl in a friend group, your experience is like you're in the same place but in different realities, literally. So that's where I remember when the album came out. Side note, when the album came out, I was like, Jolene, why is Jolene like this? Like, why? And we took Jolene's interpretation quite literally, but now when we have this framework of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I see Jolene, I now interpret it as a valid response to constantly being poked at. What I realize is that being a black woman, people don't realize this, is that people are constantly trying to paint you as the aggressive black woman, and it sort of becomes like a poking the bear thing. Like you're constantly being poked at, where it's like you're being provoked, you're being diminished in little ways, and it's like death by a thousand paper cuts. And people will push you and make small comments and they just build up and then eventually like you crash out, or it just becomes like this thing where it's like people want to take this, people are constantly, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, trying to get this anger out of you. They're trying to get that angry black woman out of you, even if that's not you. And Jolene, the original version of it, is a very vulnerable song. It's like you're acknowledging the beauty of another woman and you're saying, like, don't take my man. Please don't take my man. Like, you're so beautiful. You're so bad. But Jolene now makes sense to me because it's kind of like, as a black woman, like, bitches are always trying to, like, oh, people are always trying to just get that out of you. People are always trying to just go for what you have. Think about like even in my life when I've had like successes, I've never felt comfortable sharing them because there's always going to be someone that's trying to make you prove it or prove your deservingness or someone who thinks you don't deserve what you have. So it's sort of like it's a natural response to being in an environment and in a society that's constantly trying to make you believe that you don't deserve the things that you have, and someone who's constantly trying to take the things that you have. Because let's be real, nothing makes bitches more mad than a happy, successful black woman. It don't even argue with me on this. If you're a black woman, you know it is a very isolating experience in that social level. It's you can be around so many people and still feel so isolated. I'm getting very heated up because this is very, I'm passionate about this. Even with other black women or other black men, or even with people in our own community, like the social arena can be very isolating for Black women, where people are either trying to diminish or take what we have, period. So Jolene is just a normal response. Like Jolene would not go for any other bitch who had a man. She just wants to take something because she thinks that she deserves a man more than a black woman. Like that's it. That's what Jolene is, because that is a sad story and a sad reality for a lot of Black women, which it manifests a lot in romance, where it's like black women trying to take other, it's just a lot. It's just people just trying to take your man. Like when you have some type of happiness, especially when black women are seen as like someone being loved and doted on, there's always gonna be a bitch out there who thinks that you don't deserve that. And it's a weird thing, especially with black women, and that's a whole different topic. That's a whole different topic. But anyways, um, to drive my point home, with social daughter, like I said earlier, the experience of being a black woman in a social setting and being in the social arena feels like a bear poking ritual or whatever. Like when you know when they say like don't poke the bear, like you can poke the bear one time, it's still asleep. You can poke the bear so many times until it just wakes up and just mauls you. That's what daughter is. Daughter is sort of kind of like the bear finally waking up and being like, okay, you want that out of me? I will show you. I will show you that I am just like my father. Like I'm not even going to be, I'm not even gonna like, I'm not showing you any mercy. And the brilliance about Daughter to me, what makes Daughter so brilliant to me is that people are constantly trying to awaken this angry Black woman in you. But Daughter is a very, very, very soft song. It's a very central song. The opera at the end, it's elegant, it's classy. Romeo Ben. Sorry, I had to sing. But it's very classy. It's not like she's not going off and being like, you dumbass fucking bitch. She's not going off clapping in your face like you expect black women to. She's just saying like with her godlike vocals, goddess vocals. She's just saying, if you cross me, I'm just like my father. Like it's classy. It's not like the bear has awakened, the bear has mauled you. The bear is like, you're done. You're a bag of bones. You're bones. You're done. But it's so like it's so chic. Like the angry, like when people think of the angry black woman, they think of someone like clapping in their face and yelling and screaming. No, no, no. The angry black woman is not going to do that. She's going to embarrass you in the classiest way possible. And that's what Beyonce does. And I just, I don't know if this, again, I don't know if this was intentional, but I feel like there's something spiritual about this. It has to be. Because it's sort of like, again, the social part, Black women's social experiences is just can be a constant poking of the bear. Everyone has a bear in them, but everyone's just obsessed with the inner bear in Black women. So they're just constantly trying to poke it. And she didn't go off, she didn't scream and cuss you out. No, no, no. She just She did away with you. We don't even know what happened in Daughter. She just started off with your body laid out on this filthy floor. We don't even know what she really did to her. We just it was just done. Like so yeah, so I would say Jolene and Daughter really touch on the social part of love and belonging because that part of love and belonging can be a very traumatic, it can open, for some reason, the social stage of a Black woman's development and ascension through Maslow's hierarchy can be very traumatic. It could be little bouts, a collection of little traumas or like big traumas, but it can be a very traumatic event because everyone is just obsessed with this like with battered Black women for some reason. And this trope is perpetuated through media, through music, through TV. People are just obsessed with Black women suffering. People do not like to see Black women winning and thriving. And Beyonce is the epitome of a Black woman winning and thriving. Think about how people, whatever. Uh, Now we get to spaghetti. Spaghetti to me is that elevator ride. Spaghetti is the elevator ride from social to self-esteem because the beautiful thing about Black womanhood is that when you find your people, you find your people. Like you have riders, like you have people. And I'm still in that process. Like I need to find my people. But once a Black woman decides that she is not going to let this love and belonging stage stop her, which is I think it's a canon event for any Black woman who is coming of age. Like I'm turning 22 and I'm learning that like to not let anything that happens, to not let any way that people treat me define how I view myself and stop me from my purpose. And unfortunately, there are some Black women who are so battered in this social stage who drop down to safety and survival mode because it's like if they don't have that love and belonging, they just do away with everything. And it's just so this is like the social arena is a very make or break stage for Black women. And Beyonce is the epitome of someone who has ascended that and transcended that stage. So spaghetti, I like to think of like spaghetti being that she's found her people. She has her people. She has developed the gift of discernment. And I think one of the best parts of being a Black woman is that because the social stage is so chaotic and can be so like weird, Black women have I've all like the people who've had the most discernment that I've ever met in my life have been Black women because you have capitalism, patriarchy, and racism jump like we have these three bitches jumping you at once. So it's like you know things and there's certain discussions that I can only have with other Black women because we see things that most people of other identities could never clock and could never experience or could ever understand. So with the gift of discernment, I believe spaghetti is sort of like proclamation of like I discern who's in my corner. I know who I have in my corner, which is why she says, I ain't in no gang, but I got shooters and I bang bang with the snap of my fingers. I'm fine. Oh, yeah, yeah. And there's Spaghetti was one of my favorite songs because it really does mark a feeling where it's like the betrayals, the shady remarks, and all the weird experiences, the microaggressions was not in vain because I've now developed the gift of discernment. I can now walk into this office and know who's my friend and know who's not my friend within the first conversation of meeting this person. That is a God-like ability. With the snap of my fingers, I'm Thanos. Like, I'm so serious. Like, it feels it when they say it's lonely at the top, it's lonely at the top. Like, which is why I believe that spaghetti is sort of a proclamation of like I now have the gift of discernment, and now I can discern who's in my corner, who's worth my energy, who who is really on my side, and now it's over for you because now oh no. Don't even come for me because if it's like this at the social stage, when you go up, it can only get more extreme. So Beyonce, one of the earliest lessons we learn, or what I've learned as a Black woman, the earliest lesson is that my happiness and my joy, my rest, and the fact that I am just enjoying life and living life is revolutionary. My existence has been politicized in this country, and I wasn't even considered a human for most of it. So the fact that me not just existing, but thriving, that's gonna make bitches mad. That's gonna, if y'all were mad at the social stage, when I get self-esteem and I self-actualize, y'all are gonna be mad, which is why you need shooters. Like what I've learned from what this album has taught me is that I'm not even joking to you. Like I got rid of so many people because of this album because I realized like if I don't have shooters, like if I don't have shooters, I don't want friends at all. I because I know the type of friend that I am. Like if you're not a shooter, like you're not in my corner. Like no, like that spaghetti song is the ascension to self-esteem in this album. Now that we're at self-esteem, from this point on to the album, I think I want you guys to also share your thoughts and share the exact point because I'm actually just going off the dome with this, but I don't know if I can mark a specific time when we go from self-esteem to self-actualization, because what I've realized is that when you get to self-esteem and self-actualization, I think you sort of oscillate between the two before you can really hold up to that self-actualization stage. I'm still getting there, but I feel like I'm operating more at self-esteem. But again, I feel like this part of the album, you're oscillating between self-actualization, self-esteem, and whatever. So, so at the self-esteem stage, once we're secure in our social needs, which Beyonce, she's gotten her people, she has a team, she has a formula, she has a distinct legacy and artistic identity in her music and in herself. She has her family, she has her husband, she has her social needs met. She has her people. Once we're secure in our social needs, our primal desires for status and self-esteem come to play. We want to feel not only part of the group, but an admired and respected part. Now, if you know more about like Beyonce's story and if you want to like comment your part on that, because I feel like there's a lot to draw from in Beyonce's personal life. But I feel like you can, if you think about this in like her journey with Destiny's Child, or even if you think about her part in when she started making more radical music, like with Lemonade, and making more vulnerable music and not just like, pop stuff. This can apply to many different parts of Beyonce's career and Beyonce's journey. And which is why I think you oscillate between the two, but Um, actually, let me rewind that because when I think about alligator tears is sort of like I would say I think it's an in between of like social and self-esteem. Because when I think of alligator tears, I'm not really fresh on the lyrics. But like I think of someone who is just sort of resentful. Like I know that I'm a good partner. I know that I'm a good friend. I've done everything for you. And you can't even give me like true remorse. Like I can't even deal with your alligator tears right now. Like alligator tears for me is someone speaking from the perspective of someone who is just tired of it. Like you're just so fed up. You know your worth. You're fed up. You don't want this anymore. I don't feel like putting up with this anymore. I'm over it. And when someone's over it, that's usually when they ascend from social to self-esteem because my need for respect precedes my need for companionship. And that is a real experience. If you've ever been in a friendship, a romantic relationship, family, this could apply to any type of relationship where you sort of have a moment where you're like, I would much rather be alone and respected and wait for people and find people who respect me than be in this group, in this relationship where, yeah, alligator tears is also a proclamation of like, I'm choosing myself over this partnership or this connection because at this point, this connection is coming at the cost of my self-esteem. So, Smoke Hour 2 is another interlude, and I think this is the point where we're fully in the self-esteem part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Um, if you are looking at the screen, you guys can just refer to it, but this is whatever. Um, so you don't want to just feel part of the group, you want to feel admired and respected. And when you think of Just for Fun, Two Most Wanted, Levi's jeans. From this point, from Just for Fun to Levi's jeans, think of the themes of the lyrics. Like, I'm going all out just for fun. I am the owner. Like, I'm doing it because I know I'm good at it. I'm going all out because it's fun. Some people do things out of necessity. Some people do things out of survival. Some people do things out of obligation. But to really have self-esteem, I don't know who said this, but they said playfulness is a sign of power. So when you're doing it just for fun, you're showing your power. Like for me, what that looked like for me in my journey personally, when I would just go out and try a new restaurant and I'd go out to eat by myself just for fun. I didn't have to do those things, but I did it just for fun because I know I look good, I'm fun, I can meet people. That's a sign of self-esteem. Like to know that you don't have to do something, but you can do it and go all out in it just for fun because it's fun for the heck of it. Like, think about it. Think about the most advanced football players or athletes or whatever, or even performers. Like, even performers who have already made it, even like Beyonce, she puts 110 into every single show that she does. She doesn't have to. She's already Beyonce. She's already solidified herself as Beyonce. She doesn't have to like impress us anymore. Like she's already impressed us with her discography and her performances and her legacy. She doesn't technically have to go all out, but she does it just because it's fun. That's power. That's power. Like, and a lot of people sometimes get in this thing where it's like, I've made it. I don't have to prove anything. Think of like, I don't have any, this is not shade to any artist, but like some artists will like make it and then they won't try as hard because they already got what they wanted. They got the fame, they got the likes, they got the Grammys. So she's going out just for fun. And then Two Most Wanted, I really think it touches on the aspect of not wanting to feel part of the group, but an admired and respected part, where Two Most Wanted is like it's admiration, where it's like we're not just in a partnership. Like I'll be your shotgun rider till the day. Like it's a profession of like I don't have to ride as hard for you as I do, but I do. And that is another proclamation of self-esteem because some people will be in relationships or friendships just to say that they're in a relationship or a friendship and they're not really like they're not really crazy about the people that they're around or with. But Two Most Wanted is sort of like a like we are in it. We are in this. Like we're locked in. We're for lifers. Like that is a for lifer. That is self-esteem because to know what I think about this is like and what I'm realizing too is about love, it all boils down to love. But sometimes it's not enough to just be friends with someone. Like sometimes you have people that you will go to the ends of the earth for. And some whether it's relationship or friendship, like to have that and to say that without any apologies and to not fear being embarrassed or to not fear them betraying you, that's a sign of self-esteem because you can say, I will go to the ends of the earth for you no matter what. And a lot of people, and me too, I would be scared to like be sorry, my neighbors are like jamming right now and I kind of want to join them. But Some people will be afraid to declare how much they love and care about someone out of fear that that person will embarrass them later on. Think about, especially tracing back to the Black woman experience, the whole thing of Black women not wanting to post their relationships and Black women not wanting to post the person that they're in love with out of fear that that person will embarrass them. That is, I would say that is a sign of like lack of esteem because you can be so in love with someone and to be able to proclaim that you love them despite what you may find out about them or something like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It doesn't mean anything, but I think Two Most Wanted is a very beautiful song and I think it really does touch on the side of self-esteem that isn't really acknowledged because self-esteem is usually, especially for Black women, I think self-preservation gets conflated with self-esteem, where sometimes as Black women, we can be so self-preserved that we don't allow ourselves to really be in love with someone or really like, at least in my case, I'm speaking for myself, but I've seen it with other Black women as well. So, yeah, I say this to say, post your fucking man. What the hell? Like, Sally don't care. She gonna post her man. They've been together 2 weeks. Post his ass. And then Levi's jeans. You call me pretty little thing. So honestly, this just came into my head. Just for fun, Two Most Wanted and Levi's jeans. I think just for fun is self-esteem. Two Most Wanted is esteem in others. And then Levi's jeans is from the perspective of someone having esteem in us. So it's like my internal experience, my inter experience with other people, and how people experience me. All these things are of high esteem. Like Levi's jeans is someone like appreciating someone else. So it's not just about having esteem in yourself and having esteem in your power. It's having esteem in other people in our relationships and having esteem and people having esteem in us, if that made sense. Oh God. Anyways, um so I think those three songs really touch on the aspect of self-esteem in ourselves and community and yeah. So flamenco. I really, really, really like flamenco because if I were to make Cowboy Carter a film, like a movie, I could imagine Beyonce's consciousness coming back home from a long day at work. And when I mean day, I think of like when I first did an analysis of Cowboy Carter, I took everything literally and I thought Beyonce was doing like a multiverse type thing where she was like creating an alternate reality. And maybe coming home from a long day of work was just her entire legacy. And she's sort of coming back home, hence the country album. Beyonce's from the country. She's coming home from a long day of work. And when I say day, I mean an expansive legacy and discography. And the line, my mind has been telling me to settle right on down. Ooh, right about now. This song to me speaks to the experience of having it all already being Beyonce, already doing your big one. Like you did Beyonce, I guess before we ever knew what a Renaissance or a Cowboy Carter was, Beyonce was Beyonce. Like she could have tapped into every device and said, bye, you will never see me again. And we'd be like, thank you. We would always be like, thank you, Beyonce, forever. Like Beyonce would still be selling out if she never dropped again. Like Beyonce had every reason to be like, you know what? I got my kids, I have a family, I have all these things. I'm Beyonce. I don't need to do music anymore. Like I'm Beyonce. Like I have all these things. And that is an experience where I'm not going to speak just to Black women, but women in general, where women will they'll get the husband, they'll get the job, they'll do the thing, and then they think that's permit. They see that accomplishing those things as permission that they can finally rest. And the reason why flamenco sounds very dreamy, it's very dreamy. And when I think about the flamenco type of dance, I'm also a dance nerd. You're like stomping. Like to clap, I think clapping and stomping is a sort of like energy channeling. Like when you want to wake someone up, you clap them. Like the song Flamenco, you're using like you're using clapping, stomping sounds. And I think of it as sort of like a subconscious way to wake someone up out of this haze, out of this illusion that just because I'm like the best artist in the world, that I can just chill out and, you don't need, you already have all these things. And that's the illusion that we are taught as women. Like, you already have the husband, the kids, and the career and everything. You can rest now. You can just lay down. You don't have to do anything. Your work is done. And that's where a lot of stagnation occurs. And I think that would, if Beyonce stopped making music, that would be the recipe for like a midlife crisis, literally. So it's sort of like Beyonce's consciousness is coming home from a long day of work, and she's like, let me just relax and just sit on the couch and just I'm just gonna relax and just settle right on down and just go. Like, think about how a lot of bad habits. If you work in corporate, I'm gonna clock y'all for a second. When you get home from work, you've been at your screen all day, you just want to sit down and just do nothing all day and just, I already did work, I did that, but it's like, yeah, you worked 8 hours for someone else. You gotta work for yourself too. You gotta, let me stop. Let me stop. I'm not a motivational speaker, but sometimes you forget that there's other missions. You forget that there is also, even though sometimes the work that you do is a mission, there's also a mission behind the mission. So I think of that flamenco sort of being like a hazy period where it's like I could stop here or I could push myself, because I think one thing that I'm realizing as someone who is entering the artistic sphere is like, I fear that if I go all out and I do everything to my greatest capacity, that I'll run out of words to write about. I'll run out of things to sing about. I'll run out of ideas and but creativity is not like, you'll never run out of that. And that like I'll get so big and then I won't have anything else to do, and then I'll just spend the rest of my life just reminiscing on the days when I was great, like stuff like that. So I think that's a subconscious block that I've had in my artistry personally, where it's like if I go all in and then I lose steam, that's going to be like a difficult transition. So again, I've been trying to say this for like 30 seconds, 30 minutes. Get home, you sit on the couch, and you turn on the television. Television. Oh, no, no. We're not even gonna get into that. So you sit down on the couch and you turn on the television because the TV is telling you a vision. The Linda Martell show comes on. And if you are a girl, especially if you're a girl who is interested in music, fashion, anything, the first vision that you get of what you want to do is through the media. The first time I knew I wanted to be a singer or be a dancer or do fashion was through YouTube, watching Beyonce on television, watching Rihanna, Taylor Swift, watching these women do the things as a little girl, watching them on the TV and saying, I could do that too. I did not know how to dance, but I saw Rocky and Cece on Shake It Up and I said, I'm gonna learn how to dance. That was Shake It Up was telling me a vision, baby, you're a dancer. And I said, word. And I taught myself how to dance. So I think even at Beyonce's level, when she is someone that everyone looks up to, when every artist looks up to them, it's some people can get in that ego trap of like, oh, there's no one for me to look up to. But that's not true. Beyonce is showing us that even when you think you're at the top, you're not really there. Like the sky is the limit. Literally, the sky is the fucking limit. Because even though she's done so much impactful work with her music, she still allowed herself to be inspired by the television, and she turns on the Linda Martell show and Yaya comes on. What I think Yaya is Beyonce's self-actualized form. Her at her core. And I believe that Yaya is now where we are shooting up through the self-actualized part of Beyonce's consciousness. Beyonce, and think about it, from Yaya to the end of the album, it all transitions into one another. It's cohesive, it's a singularity. If you were into like the metaphysical and the spiritual and you are interested in those type of things, you know what I mean. It flows into each other. You're in a state of flow. There's no breaks. There's no like, you're just flowing into the next thing because you know what's coming next. You are collapsing time. Oh my God! Jesus Christ. Jesus. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sorry. Let me chill. Okay. I'm getting so excited. So finally, our core needs are met. We're ready to pursue our deepest desire for self-actualization, to become the most complete and authentic version of ourselves. With the fundamentals taken care of, we're free to act as we choose. Act one, act two. Nice. Aligned with our values and higher purpose. If you're Beehive, you know, Cowboy Carter was supposed to come before Renaissance. When you think about it, when you are self-actualized, you are rebirthing into the most authentic version of yourself. And I like to think that Renaissance is personally my favorite Beyonce album, but it is the most authentic. Beyonce is now the most authentic version of herself. And when you think about it, like Homecoming, like she had Beychella, Homecoming, she's coming home to her most authentic self. She is now one with herself. She's not playing an image. She's not doing some, even though Beyonce's music was authentic to her, it probably maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I'm not Beyonce. But the fact that the songs from Yaya down all translate and all like um transition into one another, similar to the way Renaissance is showing that she is in that level of flow. She knows what's coming. She's sort of playing like she's literally God, like actually. So the fact that it's a country themed album, and Beyonce is from the country. She was shunned from it because the country music people wouldn't accept her. She just, and I relate to this so hard because I feel like I've never felt at home anywhere. And going back to what I was saying, Beyonce's Cowboy Carter speaks to a very unique experience that Black women have, where I feel like now that I'm presenting myself as a creator, as an artist, as a musician, I realize that my soul has been fragmented into so many different parts that I now have to like collect them back to myself. Like I realized that I'm a different version of myself around my family. I'm to be a Black woman and to ascend in this society, it feels like a performance. It feels like you're performing a part of you that you sort of have to perform a role that you don't necessarily fit in, but that's the only role that you can have to be accepted, to be seen really. So I believe that this part of the album is Beyonce no longer performing and she is being through her music, which is why, like, for me, I think the most sonically um innovative songs on the album come here because Riverdance is so like when I first heard Riverdance, oh my God, like that's it's country, like that is so like I just found Riverdance so unique because it's like a I'm very I would love producers of Riverdance, please, 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 please break that song down. I would pay for a class physically. And I think these last songs that translate into that is Beyonce's most authentic self musically. She's drawing from She's drawing from her background, from her upbringing, from where she was raised, and like merging it with like R&B and pop and house music. Like it's when if you are into like the sonic aspect of this, this is now if this was an alternate reality and this was released before Renaissance, like this would be like I think Renaissance, we're just all at self-actualization. And funny side story, but there was a point in my life where I was only listening to Renaissance and I was the happiest I ever like I was the most like it was life was popping. Life was popping. Like I was on my shit, like actually. And I think Renaissance, you're just at self-actualization, which is why it was such a revolutionary album because during COVID, people were just now sitting with themselves outside of the 9 to 5. I'll get back to this, okay? Um, but when you think about Desert Eagle, I think Desert Eagle is the point where what I'm realizing is that in order to sort of get from self-esteem, because self-esteem can turn into ego, I think Desert Eagle, which is a type of firearm, I think you need to sort of get rid of that ego. And I think Beyonce had to get rid of that ego of being Beyonce in order to self-actualize into cowboy Carter. Like, think of how, like, Beyonce, she has Sasha Fierce, she has her alter egos. But I think you have to sort of get rid of one ego to become the most authentic version of yourself because ego can be dense. That's another, my brain is hurting. Ooh, my phone, my laptop's gonna die. Let me finish this real quick. But I believe that Desert Eagle, she had to sort, which it's a little freaky song, but I think the title of it, when you think about Hanky Panky, it's sort of to release someone from a life, to release something. Like I just think of Desert Eagle as like the tool used to release or to do away with ego in order to reach authenticity. So the Desert Eagle was used to reach authenticity, and that's where we get Riverdance, Two Hands to Heaven. Two Hands to Heaven. Self-actualization is heaven because you are yourself. You're the most purest form of yourself. Two hands to heaven, I break free. Like, and think about it. When you think of these songs, you want to just run in a field. You want to run in a field of grass, the wind blowing in your hair, wearing all white. You don't even know where a horse came from, but you're on a horse running. Like, no building in sight, not a Wi-Fi tower to be seen. You are free, just running and my God. And Tyrant and the fact, like, Tyrant being like, I'm the queen of my life. I'm literally God. That's Christ consciousness. I am literally the tyrant of my life. I am in control of my reality. That is a manifesting song. Like it's beautiful. And Sweet Honey Buckin', I think I love that song so much. Also, shameless plug, that song is in my DJ mix. If you like go on my SoundCloud. Anyways, whatever, who cares? But I'm trying to think of the lyrics of Sweet Honey Buckin'. I think Sweet Honey Buckin' is sort of like it's a homecoming song. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. And I also think of this as like being so powerful that you can sort of shapeshift. You can jump timelines. Like, because it's Sweet Honey Buckin'. You have three different songs in one, where I think this is where you get spiritual. We're going to get spiritual with this. When you are fully self-actualized and you are your most authentic self, they also say that authenticity is the strongest frequency. You can sort of jump timelines. You can switch realities. You are so yourself that you penetrate through any situation, through any reality that you're in, and you can still hold your own identity and integrity, if that makes sense. But yeah, we're free to act as we choose, aligned with our values and higher purpose. She did not have to mash three songs together in one, but she did. That's authentic. She could have just put three different songs, but she said, no, Sweet Honey Buckin', we're getting three songs in one. And we're gonna put Shabuzi in there. She didn't have to do that. She no, I loved it. I loved it. I'm not shading Shabuzi at all. But I think when we get to Amen 27, I believe Amen is sort of like a gratitude. It's sort of like, thank you for everything I've learned on this journey up. It's acknowledging where she's come from and just saying that, I mean, obviously, to get to the top, you have to like get rid of like being a people pleaser, and maybe people were hurt along the way. She's hurt herself along the way, forgiving herself for times she's betrayed herself or betrayed others or anything. That is ultimate accountability and atonement to get there. And I feel like that's such a beautiful way to end off the album. And when you think of how the album ends, where it's like, okay, I made peace with my past. I'm now here, self-actualized at my most authentic. I'm looking back at where I came from, what I did, and what I've gone through, the people I've been around, the person I was, the times I've betrayed myself, the times that I loved myself through the good and the bad. Thank you for it all because now I'm here. Amen. And then she's like, okay, I'm gonna turn into an orb, and then I'm gonna just trans go to a different dimension, and then now I'm Renaissance. And Renaissance, you're just self-actualized. Like you're that bitch. Like Beyonce is just Renaissance is just Beyonce being like, I'm fucking Beyonce. I'm Beyonce. And I think also the queer themes, the themes of love, the themes of confidence, like the queer community being placed to the front of Renaissance, because the queer community is to me, I find queerness to be a spiritual expression of ultimate self-acceptance, radical loud self-acceptance and authenticity no matter what, and even voguing, like, and I can get into that too because I think Renaissance has a spiritual meaning to it as well. But this album was very like I have to go because my laptop is gonna die. But if you enjoyed this video essay and you would like more albums for me to, if I find another album that I can sort of like analyze, but I just wanted to share this because Beyonce's on tour, and if you're on Beyonce's team and you want to just slide me a free ticket or something, like I'm not gonna say no, I'm not gonna say no, but I really want to just share my appreciation for this album because it's has personally. Okay, actually, I'm gonna do a subtle flex, but before Cowboy Carter came out, I had a hunch. I was like, I need cowboy boots. So I had an obsession with cowboy boots and I wore them like every single day. And Cowboy Carter came out. So I like to think that I'm like tapped into like the collective consciousness. And I can only prove this if you like went to school with me or something, but like I don't have I don't feel like reaching into my photos, but I have a whole collection of cowboy boots and I'm just obsessed with cowboy boots because cowboy boots to me represent freedom, especially as a woman, freedom, spiritual protection, traveling. It's just, I don't know. But yeah. If you enjoyed this essay, leave a like, leave a comment. If you also want to share your thoughts about it, I would love to read them. So put them in the comments down below. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.